All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've gotten a lot of questions and requests for the bird call program to go through and give a little more detail. So I decided to go ahead and record a video and post it to our YouTube channel. So the bird call program is your first introduction to user-defined classes, and you're creating a class from scratch for the bird, and you're being asked to create a constructor or init method that takes a parameter. So when you're starting with these programs and you're writing classes that are being used by other files or other programs, two things you always have to do. The first one is you have to read and understand the problem and the requirements. The second thing you have to do is look at the program that you're given and see how your class fits into it. So let's start with our problem description here. It says this program plays the noises of various bird species, but it relies on a bird class. Make the class with methods it needs to support the program. Our requirements are, we must define a bird class in bird.py. We must make an init method with one parameter besides self that sets up sprite and sound attributes. Notice it's saying that the parameter is used to set it up, not that it's getting the sprite or the sound as a parameter. We must define a tweet method that plays the sound. Then it gives us some additional instructions about where the files are located, and we can see in our project window that they have some directory structures for images and sounds, and that's important. The underscore sound file names and underscore image file names dictionaries are private dictionaries from the underscore. They're already given to you in your bird.py file, and they can be used as keys to look up. So you're going to be told, please give me a bird that is a bald eagle. And you can use that dictionary key to look up what the file name is for the bald eagle sound and what the file name is for the bald eagle image. The only thing you would then have to attach is the directory path for images and sounds. Okay. Then the second thing I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to look at the file that's being used to see how my code needs to fit into theirs. And I'm looking for where the birds are created. And so down here, I'm scrolling down, I'm looking for that constructor for the new bird. It says, which bird do you want to preview? It gives them a list of all of the birds, so it's reading that bird list and it's printing that out. Then starting on line 25, this is the section we're most concerned with in their code, and that's because it's using our bird file to create a bird. So they've already imported the bird. They did not use the custom import. They didn't say from bird, import bird, which means you're going to see the bird dot notation inside their file. Now we should not have to change anything in this file if we write our bird class correctly. So we're getting one parameter sent to us that is the bird type, which I know from this list is a string. It's either going to be American crow, common raven, bald eagle, peregrine falcon, etc. So those are one of the dictionary key elements. So I can come over to my solution. I always want to see what the solution's supposed to look like. That's kind of my last step I always do. And I see I get a text message or a text console that lists out all of my birds. It asks me which bird to preview, and I type in the number here. And the turkey should appear on the screen. And then when I click, I should hear the call of the wild turkey. Okay, my sound is muted. I'm not sharing that because it's really annoying, but the turkey just clucked. Okay. I will go ahead and turn on my sound for testing later. Okay. Make sure your sound is on for testing, or your program, you may think your program's broken when it's not. So the bird. The first thing I need to do is define the class of bird, and if I use my hint here, it says what class is needed for this program to function. Create a class that represents the bird. Okay, so class is the key name, and bird should be capitalized. Okay, then everything is indented. I start with my methods, my initialization method, and remember that's _init_. So define double underscore init double underscore, and it says I need one parameter besides self. So self always goes first, and I can call this parameter whatever I want, but it's going to be the bird's name. So I'll call mine bird name. Okay. And for now, I'm going to just write pass because I want to go ahead and get the header done for tweet as well. So when I'm clicking on the bird and I'm calling that tweet function, so it's saying if the bird was pressed, if the mouse was pressed, display bird.tweet. There's no parameter being passed to the tweet. So the only thing that's going to be in my definition is self. Okay, so I can define tweet self, and I'll write pass in there just so I can run it if I need to without getting an error. Now I'm going to come back to this init, and when I created my bird, if I look at this program, the bird is not being I have a window.add object. This is the display bird.sprite. So the .sprite is going to be a private attribute that I need to set up. And it tells me that in the instructions. I need to set up a sprite and a sound. So I can do that here. I can say self image file equals, and the image file is going to be a lookup from the dictionary of image files, but it's going to start with the I can use os.path right here, the os.path.join. So os.path.join, and it's going to join images with, and then the file name that I'm going to look up. So that's going to be image file names. And then the key is going to be bird name. Now, image file name. Now to test this, I'm going to go ahead and print out the image file. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to run my thing a few times and try to just do some error checking right now. Okay, I want to preview the wild turkey. Okay, so I don't have a sprite. That's an expected. Okay, I'm looking for that. I haven't fixed that part yet, so that's an expected error. What I'm looking for now is that print statement, and I notice that the print is images/turkey.png. If I run it again with one of the other birds, 2 common raven. Again, I'm looking for that print images/raven. So I know that that part is functioning correctly in my code. Okay, so I can get rid of that print. As of right here in this code, this image file is now correct. I have everything that I need in order to create a sprite. So I'm going to say self.sprite equals, and then tsapp, I'm going to make sure that's imported. There, it did that for me. tsapp.sprite, and again, I'm using that sprites constructor, and I'm going to give it the image file, image file, and I'm going to start it at 0, 0. Okay. Now the display is being taken care of by BirdCall. It's being added to the object and it's being displayed. So all I have to do is make sure that my bird has a sprite attribute, and then my code should work correctly. So the peregrine falcon shows up beautifully. Okay, and now I just have to do the sound and make sure that my bird has a dot sound that can be played. Okay, so it's displaybird.tweet is going to call that method, and you're going to have to take care of making sure that that sound works. Okay, so the sound file, I can do the same thing I did up here with the image file. Let me use the ospath.join. Copy that, paste it. I think my tab's off. I'm going to fix that. But this time I'm going to join sounds with image sound file names instead of image file names. So I'll change that to underscore sound file names bird name. And then I'm going to change this because it wouldn't make sense to be an image file. This is my sound file. And then I'll use my code assist because I don't use sound a lot. So I need some reminders on how to do that. So I create the sound, and I'll go ahead and save it as a self.sound. That way something else could I could access it other ways if I needed. And it's just the name of the file name and then whether unique is true so it can't play overlapping sounds. So I'll go ahead and take everything that's in that and paste it over here, tsapp.sound, and it is sound file, unique, true. Now, I also need to play the sound because the other file's not taking care of that. So I will do self.sound.play. So every time that is tweeted, now I could also take care of, now this is going to create the sound every time. So this is going to be a little bit ineffective. So I'm actually going to move the sound file setup. I'm going to move these two lines into my constructor, because that's something that only happens one time when my bird is created. So it makes more sense to do it up here in the init. The bird's not changing its tweet. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the tweet there. And then in my method here, then now all I have to do is play that sound. Self.sound.play. Okay. Now there's a lot of things that I would do here if I wanted to make this, this is kind of a dangerous method if they give me a bird name that doesn't exist. So this might be a good time to also implement your try catch or your try accept for your error checking, where you can manually pick stuff. Like if they don't give you a good one, if they give you something wrong, you could go ahead and pick one for yourself. You could say image file equals os.path.join images. And then you pick one that you like. So we'll just say if they give me a bad one, they're going to get an eagle. Eagle.png. And then I'm just going to steal this code up here because it's the same thing, other than I'm going to use my own custom instead of looking up because I know they gave me a bad one. Eagle call.mp3. Yeah, so this is going to happen if they give me a bad bird. If they say open a turkey and there is no turkey. So if they did, like, if they try to type one in instead of hitting the number or something broke. So instead of my code just failing, this try accept is a little error checking. I could also do some things like here, like if they click on tweet so that it doesn't overlap here. Remember, I can check to see how many instances of my sound are playing. I can use things like sound.getNum copies. And so I can say if self.sound.getNum copies is greater than 0 or less than or equal to 0, go ahead and play it. And else would do nothing. I mean, I could write a pass, but I just do nothing. So if there's already a copy of the sound playing, it's just going to ignore it. So that's just a little safe thing that's not going to like quack, 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 quack all day long. So that's just a little safety check. So now we've incorporated some of the error checking methods that you've done. And you can see it's a pretty simple init. It's just use the bird name that they gave you to look some stuff up in the dictionaries that they gave you, and then create that sprite. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can figure out how to turn on this sound now. Okay, So there, I got my sound on, so let's make sure that y'all can hear that sound. Let me pause. All right, so I got my sound on. I can hear it. I don't know that it's going to share it with y'all correctly. So you may not hear it on the video, but you should be able to hear it on your own. You open one of those, hit enter. When you click on it, I heard my little call, and I made sure that when I click on it over and over and over again, it doesn't stop or repeat itself or overlap, which is that little if check with the num copies check. So that is bird call. So if you didn't finish that, go ahead and use this video to complete your bird call and get that one turned in. Right.